So here is video 2 on solving basic equations. Just like in the previous video, our goal is to get the x by itself in each equation. In this case, the negative 13.5 is on the same side as the x. We need to get this negative 13.5 on the right side of the equation. So we ask ourselves, what is the opposite of subtracting 13.5? Well, the opposite would be to add 13.5 on both sides. And it's important that you write it on both sides. And so when we do this, we get x, the 13.5's cancel because a negative 13.5 and a positive 13.5 makes 0. And that equals 2 plus 13.5 is 15.5. And so that's our solution, x equals 15.5. In the second problem, we have x and 11 on the same side of the equal sign. So our goal is to get this 11 on the right side of the equation. So we have to do what the opposite of adding 11 is. So the opposite of adding 11 would be to subtract 11 on both sides. So I'm going to subtract 11 on the left, and I'm going to subtract 11 on the right. Now the 11's cancel, and so you have x equals 1.9 minus 11. 1.9 minus 11 looks to be negative 9.1. And so now if you look to the left of the equal sign, all there is an x. And when that's the case, then I'm done. I solved the equation. Let's look at the third problem. On the third problem, I'm trying to get this x by itself, and on the same side of the x is a 2.5. Now, 2.5 is being multiplied by x, so I have to ask, what is the opposite of multiplying? Well, the opposite of multiplying would be to divide 2.5 on both sides. Now, when you do that, the 2.5's cancel, leaving me just x equals, and then what I've got to do is I've got to calculate 10 divided by 2.5. And I get 4. And so in this case, x equals 4. And that's my answer. And it's always best to circle your answer once you get it. On our last problem, I've got 1/3 being multiplied by x. And so I ask myself, what is the opposite of multiplication? Because this 1/3 is being multiplied by this x. So the opposite of multiply would be to divide by 1/3 on both sides. Now, what you notice is when you have the same thing on top and the same thing on bottom, it equals 1. So the 1/3's cancel, and so you have x equals. Now, I can type in my calculator 12 divided by 1/3, and when I do, I'll get 36. But let's discuss how I did that. And so what I did is I moved the slide up, and if you see right here, I did 12 divided by 1/3, and I got 36. And I typed in my calculator to get 36, but I want to show you how to do it by hand. 12 is understood to be over 1. All numbers are understood to be over 1, and I'm dividing by 1/3. Now, in math, this would be called a compound fraction or a nested fraction. You've got a fraction on top and a fraction on bottom, and they're being divided. So it's two fractions in a fraction. So what you can do is you can take the bottom and flip it and multiply it by the top. And so what we're saying is dividing by 1/3 is the same thing as multiplying by 3/1. All I did was flip the bottom and change it from divide to multiply. And so now you can see that 12 times 3 is 36. So that's how I got 36. So on our final two examples that I've got here, these are different. In this case, I'm trying to get x by itself, and I've got x being divided by 2. So I ask myself, what's the opposite of dividing by 2? Well, the opposite of dividing by 2 would be to multiply by 2 on the left and multiply 2 on the right. And so what you see is these 2's cancel, and so I have just an x on the left equals, and 9 times 2 is 18. So there's my answer. Same thing over here on the right. In this problem number 6, I am also dividing by 3, okay? And so the opposite of dividing by 3 would be to multiply by 3 on both sides. Notice that in both problems here and here, I multiplied on top, not on bottom. And so the 3's cancel, and so I have x equals, and 2.1 times 3 is going to be 6.3. And so those are my two solutions.